like, oh, well, here I am at ground zero. What am I going to do with myself?
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy because before I had met my ex, I was already in a position where I was already had a strong sense of self-identity, strong sense of self and purpose.
Mm-hmm.
I was living my life with intention, and I already had a whole plan laid out for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until I committed myself to this relationship that I feel like I gave up a part of myself. I always thought that that's what you're supposed to do. I thought, oh, you're supposed to give up half of yourself to be somebody's other half. But what I've come to realize is that that's codependency, and not in a healthy way. And what I've come to realize is that what I think would be a healthier situation is to already be a whole and complete person, and to then get with somebody who's also whole and complete, so that you're positively influencing each other rather than leaning on each other and not really progressing as fast.
But the majority of people are in codependent relationships. I think,
Yes.
like, to have really that full union type relationship is
Yes.
very rare.
Well,
I rarely see it.
I don't really know how rare it is, but yes, codependency is very common, and it shows up in different ways, in different relationships, in different dynamics. Codependency, I don't feel like always has to be something negative. When we think of it as a negative thing because we have so many examples of a negative codependency relationship. But I don't think it always has to be negative. And I think that maybe there aren't a huge percentage of couples that are in healthy relationships because the divorce rate is so high. But I think what it comes down to is a certain level of emotional maturity and a certain commitment to doing the work that it takes to grow from that young adult, that young man or that young girl into a woman, that young boy into a man. And I think that a lot of people feel like that they just live their life and it will just naturally happen for them. And then one day they'll turn a certain age and they'll just have the wisdom and they'll just be emotionally mature. But from what I've experienced, that's not the case. You actually have to put in the self-work and the work into your relationships to reach that point. And I feel like with my past relationship, I was putting in a lot of the work and I was doing the growth, but my partner wasn't. And that was a major reason why we grew apart, because we weren't on the same page. When we first got together, when we were really young, we were, but soon after that, we weren't. And it took me a long time to acknowledge to myself that that was the case. And so that is what led me to that dark period, that transition period of that 3 months where I guess I'd hit rock bottom and I thought, I can't see anything else for myself. This is what I had planned. Just shifting my mentality and realizing I already have opportunities. I already have a whole life set up for myself. And I don't need this person to drag me down or to pull me away from the destiny that I already have.
Right.
And once I realized that my power and will to live is way stronger than my desire to satisfy this person who was not fulfilling my needs in any way.
And was this person aware of the fact of like how much you were struggling? Or was it just like something you were going through and they had no idea?
I'd say at that time the person knew that I was in a dark place. But because they were in a dark place for an even longer period of time, that there's nothing they could do to help me because they're barely trying to hold themselves together.
Right.
And I realized that I was kind of falling down that path where I was like, oh, I need to help this person. They're falling to the point where I started falling. And then I was like, oh, this is not going to work. It's not going to work. And I'm like, oh, what am I going to do? Then I woke up one day and I was like, I'm going to do what feels right. I'm going to do what leads me to happiness. I'm going to eat fruit. I'm going to pray to God. I'm going to have a will for life. I'm going to show gratitude for being grateful that I'm alive. Oh, this is Rada.
By the way.
Oh.
She wants to be on camera too.
She loves me.
She does.
Oh, she's purring.
So, like, for you, I know you mentioned that fruit really helped you physically. Y'all need to get on that fruit wave, cellular detoxification, all that, like, because I remember going on the fruit wave like a few years ago and I was just obsessed with fruit. Yes. Whenever I eat fruit, I'd be so happy, my eyes would light up, I would just feel, and then when I have cooked food and like I just feel so down and stuff. And so like, yeah, when you said fruit literally brought you back to life. So it just goes to show like the power of like alkaline foods and plant-based, you know,
Absolutely.
just like things that come from Mama Gaia that like nourish us.
I started with the fruit.
Hydrate us.
And then after a while, when I had enough energy, I was eating fruit all day. Then I would introduce more foods. I would introduce vegetables, the lentils and the beans and chickpeas and all that kind of stuff. And then I introduced like carbs, rice and gluten-free pastas and such like that. Yeah.
So like when you were going through like your darkness, like did you feel like other kind of energies infiltrating you? And
yes,
because
absolutely.
Apiti is a very spiritual woman. She is a Christian and she's very strong in her faith, and we love Kanye.
Yeah.
We both
Sorry
love
if you
Kanye.
don't like Kanye, but we like Kanye.
Yeah. He's a goat. His documentary's coming out soon.
I know.
You should watch it. Yeah. So yeah, like, because you've seen me, like, since we were up at the farm in Ashcroft together, and there's some scary shit.
Well, a different farm, because if you watch the video...
Not the Hare Krishna farm.
Yeah, not the Hare Krishna farm.
Yeah, Hare Krishnas are dope. It was a different farm with this, like, crazy older white couple, and it was, like, some, like...
That was an experience in itself.
Yeah, that was a very scary...
But Ashcroft is a beautiful city. I highly recommend it. It's
beautiful
gorgeous.
town.
I just remember driving through
that retro diner.
And the diner.
Such a
vibe.
Yeah.
It was great.
But that whole situation was rough.
We should make a whole video about that.
I know, that was like a movie about that. It was like paranormal things happening. Someone had died there.
Right? And then remember the fire? Remember how the fire got really hot?
Yeah.
It was like a spiritual cleansing, and then we got upset.
So me and Apiti, we go camping, and whenever we light fires, we're like, it's not manning the fire, it's wombing the fire. Because it's like witches from a past life coming together, and just like, but that fire was triggering for the people that owned the house, and there was just a lot going on. It was super ungrounded. That was like, and I remember you telling me, you're in a spiritual battlefield right now.
Absolutely.
And I've been there, and I know you'll come out on the other side, but this is your battle to face.
Absolutely.
And I'm still there, but you know what I've always admired and loved about you is you have this like strong warrior energy. Well, you should have worn your gada today. You should talk about the story behind your gada. Yeah. So gada is like this, like, I have it on right here.
Mine's at home.
It's a steel iron bracelet that Sikhs wear. It's part of the 5Ks. And Apiti has one actually that she got from a Sikh man.
From a Sikh man at the Squamish Music Festival.
Yeah. Do you want to share the story behind that?
Well, it's not really too much of a story, but I was chatting up everybody at the festival, came across this Sikh man. We were talking. Next thing, we're having this really deep spiritual conversation. And then just before we parted ways, he removed his kara and offered it to me. And I was like, no, I can't take this. And he was like, no, trust me. Like, please take it, please take it. And he insisted. So, of course, I obliged and I took it. And I've been carrying it ever since. But I don't wear it too often because it's just so, like, I sometimes I get afraid that I'll like knock it, or I don't really want to shower with it. So, but I do always keep it safe. I always know where it is, and I love it very much.
Apiti was definitely like a warrior, like a Sikh warrior in a past life. I think we've always sort of talked about that. I've taken her to the Gurdwara like multiple times. We should actually go. Like, they have langar now and stuff. Yeah. So we've been to this. It was awesome. It was great. But yeah, like, so back to the whole darkness thing. And
so I wanted to just ask you, because I feel like in your other video you kind of touch upon like experiencing the darkness, and then here now I am just sharing my story.
Right.
So I'm wondering where you're at now. What is your plan going forward in dealing with overcoming the darkness?
Well, for me, I realized that, like, for me, a lot of the darkness comes from addiction and addictive tendencies and childhood trauma. It's a lot of different things, and it's really hard for other people to understand because unless you're going through it yourself, you don't know. And I have so much empathy for people that struggle with addiction, because it's like you can have everything going for you, you know, and anyone can slip into that. Anyone can fall down a path of like, wow, how did we get here? Like, I know what it's like now. I've experienced it, and it's hard. Like, I never thought that at this age, this is the stuff that I would be having to experience and deal with. And for those of you who know me like more closely, you know exactly like the kind of timelines that were starting to happen, like very like, and I'm like, yo, I have a degree, I have all this like volunteer and work experience, and I was finally getting to my creative thing, and it's like, what did I do? You know, like how did I mess this up for myself? I didn't realize I was like feeding like